As years go by, I've found that we tend to evolve. The version that we are today is different and yet somehow the same as the version of ourselves that we were at 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on. Today on Motherish, we're chatting with Diana Marti. She's a mother, amazing professional, relentless supporter of people and movements that she believes in, and from my lens specifically, one of my very best friends. We're going to dive into talking about the many versions of us that exist over time and the invisible thread that connects them all. We read the books, we bought the things. We thought we were ready. And then life took our plans and changed them. I'm Karen, I'm Victoria's mommy, and I work in tech.
And I'm Pamela. I have a baby boy named Ford, and I'm a journalist. And although we're both first-time working moms, we're actually pretty different.
And that's totally okay. Because we both agree that our most important work is raising our kids. We really need each other and can only get through this together. Welcome to Motherish Moments. She's already crying. I'm super excited. I wrote that on purpose because I know her so well, and I was like, this is gonna get her. It's got the invisible thread, which is a mention of a Taylor Swift. Guys, she's obsessed with Taylor Swift. Yeah. Okay, but we're not gonna go so deep so fast. We're gonna work our way there. So first, we're gonna start with motherish moments. So I'll kick off with my motherish moment. So Victoria is just growing up like so fast before my eyes, and I feel like every time I see her, she's like an older and older version of herself. And the other day I took her to work because she wanted to do this, like, they asked me if she would do a video to help promote something. They were looking for kids to do it. And she was like, Mommy, I want to do this. I put it out there. If you want to do it, like, do it. So she was like, I want to do it. I'm like, okay. So I took her and I was like, okay, let me not be a momager, like, let me not be all over. Like, and so I was like, I'm not going to be Kris Jenner. I'm going to step back and let her do her thing and see how she experiences this with the people there was a videographer, there was like someone else who was telling her like what to say. And like, not because she's my kid, but also like, whatever, I might be a little biased. She was so good. Like, she was delivering lines, like, because they would be like, oh, come join the club. And she's like, come on, guys, join the club. Like, it was so much.
With her oomph.
Yes, it was so much. And everybody was like, oh, has she done this before? Does she do? And I'm like, no, she's just naturally talented like that. Like, whatever. But I don't know. It was so nice to see her like just continuing to like grow, evolve, and turn into like, the next season of what she's gonna be. I'm tying that into our main topic here. But it was so great. So I love it. I love to see it, and I'm really stepping into like a moment, a feeling of like enjoyment.
Of course.
With her. It's very different than like the survival mode that I was in for so long. Now it's like, okay, I get to enjoy.
I love that. And Victoria has so much of you in her personality. I think that's why, like,
guys, actually Diana's my lawyer. She's here. She's here. Like, she's
your rep as well.
Less like, there's nobody more biased in the world than Diana. So I'm just gonna preface this entire episode with that. Like,
yeah, you guys are gonna really be able to hear all the different hats that I wear. But it's true. I mean, it's true. Karen doesn't like when I say these things because she's very humble. But it's true. Victoria has so much of you. It's her spunk. She's so genuine, and she is honestly like such a light wherever she goes.
But that's her.
So much fun.
That's her. Yeah.
Yeah. But she got it from her mama. So.
Diana also has a daughter who for me is like basically like my niece, like kind of like first iteration of experiences of like with a little girl as an adult, because obviously like the first version of that was my brother. But Valentina is like the light of my heart and life. So tell me about what you're dealing with in terms of your motherish moment for the week.
Yes. And fun fact, Valentina took her first steps in Karen's arms.
Yes.
That is a beautiful, beautiful moment. So yes, I have an 11-year-old. Her name is Valentina. She is a cheerleader. She's very social. She loves Taylor Swift because I kind of
She's basically describing herself. I just want you to know that. Like,
I indoctrinated her into Taylor Swift. But yeah, she is a lot of what you're saying. Like, she has so much of her own personality already, and it's so exciting to see her almost as like a little woman, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so last year I surprised her and we went to go see Taylor Swift in Europe. For my birthday, but also for her. And it was so special because she had never been to Europe. And it was, I picked her up at school. She found out. We drove to the airport. And it was so special, just the trip, being there with her. So I kind of have now set that expectation.
Oh, girl.
So she's like,
You're wild.
where are we going? Like, are we doing another mother-daughter trip? Are we going to do another? Like, are you going to surprise me? Are we going to go somewhere? So I have let her plan our trip. And so she wants to go to Dallas.
Oh, okay. That's easy. That's
it's-
very random.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's a cheerleader store there. And so she
Wow.
wants to go there. And so
Is it the biggest? Because everything's bigger in Texas.
it is. It really
Get it?
is.
Got
It
it.
really is. It's Rebel. And she's so excited. And so I'm like, okay, so you have to plan it. And so it's been so exciting. She sent me a Pinterest board and she's like pinning things. And I'm just like really excited to do this trip, just she and I, and to like see her take the lead on things like this. Usually Karen plans the trips when we go. So now I'm having Valentina plan all my trips.
So throwback to the Disney episode where Pamela was like, the best way to plan a Disney trip is to get yourself a Karen.
It's true.
She does it all.
It's
And
true.
Diana has also been a receiver of my trip planning. So
Listen, she knows, like,
I
she
don't.
researches.
I research.
She researches. She knows the things she wants to do. I will just throw in like, this is my only request, like whatever it is, but like it's because I trust her judgment, and we like a lot of the same things, minus hiking down
It's not true.
to any
All right.
big mountain.
So I'm going to give everybody a little bit of context here. I met Diana almost 15 years ago. She was an intern at the place where we both worked at the time. And I was already, I'm older than her.
Oh my God.
she hates it when
We're
I
the
say
same
that.
age.
We're not. I'm 5 years older than her. But what's it called? Nothing. From the very first moment that I met her, I was like, there's something about this girl. There's something like she's not a normal. She's not normal.
She's not a normal girl.
No, there was just something special about her. There was like an extra about her. And so naturally I was like, I'm gonna take her. She's gonna be my friend. We became friends, and in the almost 15 years of our friendship, we have been so many different versions of ourselves. She, in the first season of our friendship, went through really, really tough times. And I was like a supporting actress in that role of trying to be there for her. And then later on, I was going through tough times, and then she really stepped up to plate, like the little baseball thing I gave for you. She loves baseball, you guys, and so now that I work in baseball, I try to give her baseball puns whenever possible. So nothing. I thought it would be interesting for us to talk about just the different versions of you that you have been in the last like 15 years and beyond, not just when I entered your life.
It's really when I came alive.
Because sometimes there's like little windows of like when you tell me about who you were as a teenager, there's like little moments that now as a mature woman, I'm like, oh, that's probably what she was like as a teenager, like little windows of it. But I don't know which parts of it you want to talk about, but like, I think we should start from like maybe kind of what are some of or how you compare yourself today to the person that you were when you were maybe having some of the lowest or hardest moments of your life.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, thinking about 15 years ago, it's everything that Karen described me as is exactly what I saw in her. I remember she came in, she was like talking, and I was like, oh my God, she's so cool. Like,
I was
wanna
speaking to
be
a
her
group
friend.
of interns. First of all, I was not given any time to plan for this. My boss at the time says, hey, there's a group of interns here. I was the social media manager, I think, or director. I don't even know if I was director or manager yet. But like, he was like, there's a group of interns. I have a meeting. Go talk to them. I'm like, cool. So I walk into this room of, interns that are ready to take on the world. But this girl, her posture was like, nope, I'm gonna be the tallest in this room. I don't care if you're 6'3", I'm taller than you in my aura. Like,
Oh,
but it was noticeable. But I'm glad you noticed this about me too.
oh my gosh. I just thought, like, I love the way she speaks. And I just thought that she, like, we had a lot of speakers, but she came in and lit the room. And I was just like completely like in awe of her. And I was like, oh my God, I want her to be my friend. And then I think like I followed you on social, and then we followed each other
Big
back.
mistake.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, like we're going to be friends. And then here we are, best friends.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think as you spoke about it, 15 years, we've seen a lot of different versions of ourselves. Um, I think back to
Who were you 15 years ago?
15 years ago, I was very, very hopeful. But to be honest, I'm probably even more hopeful now because I feel I have a lot more control of my life and the situations, and I have a much bigger, stronger toolkit to handle anything that comes my way. But I was so naive. I grew up in a bubble of like living a great life, and I did everything according to this checklist that I created for myself, which was like go to college, find a career that you love, get married, have a baby. And from one day to the next, and a text message from you, and my whole world, you know, completely turned on its head. And I I mean, and for context, a text message from Karen, because Karen was the person that delivered the news to me of what was going on. And I always think about that because I'm so glad it came from you and not from anyone else. But that moment, my life really turned on its head because I suddenly was 24, a 6-month-old baby. I'm getting a divorce. I'm starting a new job. And the checklist, I just was like, what good was any of this for? And how am I going to start over? And how do I rebuild? And
I mean, at the moment, I think you were in more of like, how do I survive this right now? It was
oh,
a
absolutely.
very difficult thing. It was a public thing. I mean, not to go into details, but it was just quite possibly the most difficult thing that I've seen. My average person in my friend
Yeah.
group, social circle, like one of the most difficult things that endured over an extended period of time of things
Yeah.
that you had to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, no one prepares you for anything like that. And you go into this really excited and you feel like, you know, I grew up with parents that have been married for 50 plus years, and that's what I thought my life would be like. And it's not what happened, but it's truly what was best for me. But yeah, I was absolutely surviving. I remember Karen took me to lunch one day and was like, "You haven't cried.
Yeah.
You haven't cried." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know if I can." And it wasn't until much later that, to your point, absolutely in survival mode. And it wasn't until I just owned what was happening to me.
How long did it take you before you could really accept and understand and kind of step into what you were dealing with?
I think 2 years to be able to detach myself and to say the story of everything and own the situation that I was in. And then I would say it's taken me like 10 plus years to truly, truly heal, to truly like forgive myself for things that I had no business blaming myself for thinking I was naive or
Yeah,
I should have seen this or
it's
I should
crazy
have seen
because
that.
when you described yourself, the first thing you said was naive. So
Yeah.
have you really?
I have. I've forgiven myself for it, but I do acknowledge that I was. And I think
But
that
you were 20 what?
24
Okay,
at the time.
what 24-year-old is not naive?
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, everything's 2020. But I think I'm always going to be a little naive because I'm always going to be very hopeful, and I'm always going to like want to hope for the best and root for the story and root for the happy ending. But it took truly like one day in therapy that we did this exercise where she kind of like had me almost in like hypnotherapy, and she asked me to like, you know, it was this river and people are coming out of the river, and you have to basically say to each person, I forgive you, or please forgive me. And the last person that she described was 24-year-old Diana.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I
that
remember
was
that.
for me the moment that I was like, oh my gosh, I had no reason to blame myself. I've
Mm-hmm.
been blaming myself for something that I had no fault in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such a pivotal turning point for me, where then I really started to like pour into myself with like working out and like loving myself in the way where I would care for myself and put myself first in a lot of situations. And my health, I think, was number one. I really started to prioritize myself, and that's when I started to treat myself as like the most ongoing project that I will ever work
Mm-hmm.
on, and just realize that it's always going to be ongoing.
Yeah, because I think you carried a lot of the difficulties and your struggles. They defaulted into carrying into your health, right?
Correct.
Like, why don't you paint that picture a little bit more so people understand?
Yeah, I think everyone deals with anxiety and thoughts like that differently. For me, my coping mechanism was eating. And it wasn't that I was hungry. It was just how I would deal with like anxious thoughts or flashbacks or memories or you know, it's hard to be a single mom. It's hard to not give this picture perfect life to your child. And it's not until you realize that it's always going to be perfect as long as your child has love, and it's going to be as perfect as it can be. But growing up in a very traditional home with parents that were married and all of that, I just kept looking at her and thinking, oh my God, I wish I could, like, I wish I could have given this to you. And it wasn't until I accepted that that's not what she needed. She needed a happy, healthy mom who was, I mean, I cannot love my daughter more than I do. She's literally, you know, like everything to me. But it wasn't until I was like, this, I'm going to make the best of our life. This was the best thing that could have happened to us. We're moving forward. We're hopeful. We're happy. And this is not my fault. This is no one's fault. Like, it's not her fault. Sorry, it's not mine. It's no one's fault. And so it wasn't until I really accepted that I really started to heal. And so yeah, that when I talk about health things, I would say like really prioritizing sleep. I wouldn't sleep. I was very anxious. I wouldn't prioritize, you know, eating healthy. I wouldn't prioritize going to the gym at all. And then I realized that instead, there were ways that I can, in a very healthy way, cope with anxiety or cope with worries or whatever. It's hard when everything falls on you. It's very, very hard. And so I
Yeah,
just
because you
channeled
also
that.
support the life of your parents,
Correct.
your daughter, 100%.
100%. And I've been lucky enough to be able to do that and blessed enough, but it's
There's
a
no
lot.
luck there. That's hard work.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
See, I'm also your lawyer. How would you? So one of the big things that I think for me has happened over the course of the versions of me is how and what makes up my identity. So what would you say makes up your identity today versus like 10 years ago?
I would say I really believe in myself. It's not that I didn't before, but I am very unapologetically myself right now. I am I've never felt better in my skin my entire life than I do right now. And going back to that point where I feel like I'm constantly the most ongoing project I'll ever work on. So I have a lot of grace with myself, where it's like, okay,
I hate that phrase so much. Sorry. I just
what?
having grace with yourself. Like only because it's triggering to me because like it has been said to me during so many times where I didn't have any, and I'm like, that phrase sucks. Like,
And it
that
does.
was just my reaction all the time.
And it does, and it sucks when people are like, have grace with yourself, and you're like, where is grace? How can I buy it? Where can I go like recharge?
I don't
on
have
this?
any.
I have none.
Don't know where the pocket is to dig in for that. Like, no.
And I feel like it's a very first generational thing too, because we're so hard on ourselves, you know? And so I like, but I really truly mean like having grace with yourself,
Yeah.
just like forgiving yourself and being like, okay, I'm not perfect, like move on. And I think the moving on is like what's important, instead of staying stuck and like replaying the tape over and over and over. And well, I should have said this and I should have done that. And it's like, no, just keep going. You know, I feel like it's so important to do that. And I think what makes me today is that I feel so myself.
Yeah.
And I'm so confident in myself and who I am and who I'm not, and what I know and what I don't know. And like being totally okay with saying, I don't know this. Where I feel like before I expected myself to know absolutely everything.
It was like a fake it till you make it also type of thing. You'd be like, no, I know, I can do this. And it's like, well, it's okay if you don't.
Correct. And it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to say, I need your help with this, or I need someone to help me to be able to do X or Y. But yeah.
What would you say have been some of the things that have helped you the most? So maybe therapy sounds like one of those, right?
Yeah.
And what's another thing that you think has really been like, these were the game changers for me in kind of going from survival mode to like really kind of leading your life and
yeah. I would say therapy, number one, really getting to know who you are. And it's, you know, when you do therapy, you have to do, well, at least I did something called ego stages. And it's like when you talk about yourself as a child, right? And all of these things that made you who you are today, and you still carry so much of those things today, it's important to figure out what makes you you, and what are your triggers, what are your insecurities, why are you insecure about those things? And it's not just surface level. It's like really getting in there. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie, I would dread therapy. I dreaded, it just felt like it was so heavy. I was like, I'm like, and it's like, you know, you're having a busy day. You're getting a bunch of stuff done at work. You're getting a bunch of stuff done with your child and all these to-dos. And it's like to have to pause and go deep. I don't know if I have that in me right now, but I kept telling myself, it's like brushing your teeth. You have to do it. You just have to do it. And I never once finished a therapy session regretting having done it.
right. You could feel bad after a therapy session. You could feel drained after a therapy session.
Literally drained.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that in the last like year or so, where I'll go into a therapy session and I'm like, sometimes I actually arrive in like a really good mood, and it's because I'm living on the surface.
Yeah.
And my therapist is like, that's not what we're gonna do today. Like, she'll like dive into certain topics, and I come out of there like depleted.
It's so heavy.
But that's my default, where I tend to live on the, but no, I just live, if I swim up here, I'm fine.
Correct.
Like, no, honey, let's go to the deep end. I'm like, I don't want to go.
But you know what? It's nice to save going to the deep end with your therapist, or like in certain moments, and not always living on the deep end too.
Right.
So, you know, so you're doing that right as well.
I'm like, I don't think you're right. Actually, I think we need to live in the deep end a little more often.
But it's true. Like, I think that happens, right? When you suspend reality a little bit, but sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes it's like, you know what?
It's survival mode. That's all.
I just need to have a good day today.
Yeah.
And in order to have a good day today, I don't want to think about X or Y.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important. I would say figuring out what I didn't like about myself and why, and not like things about like, I don't like the way I laugh or silly things like that, but like figuring out.
Could you share an example of what that means?
Yeah. Oh, I love you in reporter mode.
She's never seen
journalist mode.
She's never seen this side of me, guys.
I would say, for instance, I would feel insecure around certain kind of people, right? Because of things that they knew that maybe I felt I lacked or I didn't know. And so instead of sitting in that insecurity, it was like, well, why don't I use that opportunity to learn about the one thing that I'm insecure about? And I think it all goes back to like just allowing yourself to continue to grow and learn and evolve, and be like, I don't have it all right, but that's okay, because like I'm working on it. you know? So I think those things have really helped. I think being brutally honest with your friends is really important, like about how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And I think for
I mean, I've always caught you on your BS. I've always been.
she has.
I literally am like, no, okay, if that's what you want me to believe, I'll allow it.
She
but
has.
yeah.
She has. Because I for a long time felt like anything that I brought felt not because of anything that you ever made me feel, but it just felt like, oh, I'm such a downer. This is such a burden, or I don't want to, like, you know, we're having girl time. I don't want to have to like talk about this stuff.
Like, what's the point of girl time?
Exactly. This was really early on, though.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah,
say
yeah,
this
yeah.
was really on. And Karen would call me out and be like, no, you're not, you can't just be okay about these things.
Right.
Just let's talk about them. And I think for a long time, it was so hard to do something as simple as like cry about certain things because I was just like, I got to hold it in.
Honestly, I've only seen her cry like 10 times maybe.
Yeah.
And half of the times are from laughter.
Yes. It's true. Or she'll say something like what she did with the intro, and then I'm like, oh, I'm mush. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard because you want to have it all together. And I think with maturity and age, you realize it's BS. You got to just
having it all
it.
together doesn't mean not cry. Like, that's silly.
No. Like, cry. It's so important to cry.
I cry all the time. Actually, like, I haven't cried that much this year, so I'm kind of worried. But like,
but I tell Karen, I'm like, it's good that you cried, because I felt for a long time I put everything in a box. And I put the box underneath my bed, and I was like, okay, I'll deal with that when I got to deal with it. And maybe the box was like the pretty blue tin cans with the cookies, remember, from when we were little, that our grandmas would put like the sewing kits inside.
Like, that's a sewing kit.
That's what I picked. Yeah, it's actually a sewing kit. So that's kind of what I pictured. I put everything in there, and I was like, I'll deal with this when I can.
Yeah.
But you have to deal with things, because if you don't, they will manifest into your life in a very insidious way. And so it's important. So I'm so proud of Karen for going to therapy, for being so vocal about this, like her entire journey as a whole, from motherhood to everything else, because you're absolutely helping other people. It helped me whenever I felt so alone in my situation, when I would hear, whether it was a celebrity, anyone I would meet at a doctor's office, whatever it was, it just made me feel like, okay, I'm not alone. And so I think that's what's so powerful about you being so real and genuine, as your best friend, I could say, so real and genuine on here about everything, from everything with being a mom to who you are today.
Yeah. Thanks. Somebody has to do it. You know what I mean? You got to just, whatever.
I'm proud of you.
I also don't care. I'm also very like, I've never been big on like, actually, that's not true. One of the things that we discovered in therapy, we meaning me and all of my personalities, discovered in therapy was that like, I actually care a lot about what people think. And gosh, I can't believe I'm putting this out there, but this is what we do, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things she identified was that a lot of my self-worth was based on how useful I am, or I consider myself to be, for the people around me. So like, how much you love me depends on how much I can do for you, and how much I like, how much do you need me, like, to be of service to you. And that's, by the way, all in my head. Like, it's not like nobody ever said that, like, this is what love is like.
Of course not, no.
And so one of the things that I actively work on is like being like, you know what? No, I'm trying to be unapologetically me. And trying to be like, oh, I don't care, whatever. And all of that is masked, as per my therapist, with a lot of humor, which is where my fabulous personality comes from. She's like, that's trauma. And I'm like, cool.
I mean, but you know what?
I'd like to think that it's just my charisma, but apparently it's not all.
Listen, you've shed all of that. I really have to say. And I think that's not caring what people think. And it is all in our head, is so powerful, because I feel like for a long time, I would look at someone and be like, oh my gosh, I want to be like mysterious like that. And like not like say all these things. And like, I want to be like this and I want to be like that.
That's how I want to dance, actually. Like, you know how there's like some people that dance like super cool, calm and collected, and they're like, whatever.
Oh,
I can't do that. I'm just like, the dance floor is
start
mine.
doing millennial hands, and like I can't control myself.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, but you're a millennial. This is where we need to just be unapologetic.
Yeah.
If you're a millennial, just be a millennial.
They're going up. they're going up and I'm doing like the two-step. I mean, if it's true, I wish I could do those things. But then you realize that like people love you because you're so you and the things that make you you that no one else could be. And like, that's what I love about you, that like you don't care, right? Especially now. I love this era of Karen that's like, I'm going to say it. Let's go. Um, but it's all like she loves foliage. She loves like certain songs and
I feel
eras
like
of
she's making
music.
fun of me. I feel like she's making fun of me.
No,
Karen loves foliage.
she really does.
I do.
She really, and I love that.
It
And
makes me feel alive. Death makes me feel alive. The irony. The leaves dying.
the
Make me
colors of
feel
fall.
alive.
Yeah. I've never seen her happier. Well, I've seen her happier, obviously, like Tori in different life moments, but I've never seen her happier in this particular instance as she walked through all this foliage and she was just like looking at everything. She's like, oh my God. And it's like,
Honestly,
we're here.
like, so happy. I really love it so much. I don't
There's a-
understand how everybody doesn't love it.
No, it was
The
so,
foliage
so
tracker.
beautiful.
You look at the schedule. You know when it's going to be peak red. It's
When she told me there's a tracker, I was like, wow, there's me with Taylor Swift and then there's you with the foliage. And like, this is why we see eye to eye.
amazing. You
But
get my crazy.
but no, and how much you love fall and how much you love like how you cook and this and that. And like, that is why people love you, because you bring so many different unique things that make up Karen. And how sad would it be if you like hid those parts because you're like, well, maybe this isn't as cool, or maybe this is
Yeah.
like, no.
So if thinking back on like the kind of higher level topic, like I think that this version of me that you're describing today, right? This identity, like
This
she
girly
was,
pop, yeah.
she was there when I was in my 20s to just like lighter, not
Yeah.
it's almost like, so one of the things that my therapist also says, guys, the therapist, one of the things
We
my
love her.
therapist also says is always like, and she didn't make this up, she heard this somewhere, about like living in your essence, and like once you are able to live in your essence, then like you did it,
Yeah.
like once you get there, you did it. And like that essence of me being like kind of silly and blah blah blah, like it's present throughout all of these versions of me throughout my life. Like lately, my family and I have been watching a lot of these home videos because my dad got them like digitized or whatever. And so there's all these videos of when I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old. I am constantly like trying to be like the clown and trying to like whatever.
Victoria.
There's a video of me. There's a video. Her dad is also really funny.
No,
so,
no,
like,
he is. But
You
the
can't-
dancing and all that is very much you.
So there's a
Yeah.
video of me. I think I was like maybe 7 years old, and I'm sitting on the countertop of the kitchen. My parents were like 29, maybe 30, like
Wow.
bored out of their minds probably. Like, I mean, no, I think they were just like, this is our life. Like we have this child.
A young Gabby and me.
She's like, yeah. And they're playing Sade. And so I'm like lip syncing Sade, like I'm like
I love that.
whatever. And I was so into it. And like honestly, I'm still the same person. You play Sade and I'm still gonna think that I'm this like baddie, like whatever.
Music video in the car.
Seriously. And so like it's so cool. Now I'm gonna take it even further. Like it's so cool to see yourself as a child, see yourself as a teenager. There's another video that came up of me being like, I think I was like 20. And we were dealing some hurricane, so we were like locked in or whatever. And so my dad and I are like, let's go outside, record a video, pretend you're like
that's
one of
so
these
fun.
reporters or whatever. So I'm like in the rain and I'm like reporting live, blah blah blah. Like it's the same person. We get off
Right.
track sometimes. We
Right.
lose that essence
We
with
do.
different things that we deal with. But every time I return to her. I return to that same
I love that so
6-year-old
much.
girl that is like singing Sade on the countertop, who is also the 40-year-old woman in her car singing Sade as if
I love
I'm
that.
on the stage, right? And that is like so amazing to see in yourself, but then piques the curiosity in me in our daughters, how like what we see today, because we're not going to witness their entire life. We are only, oh man, the other day I saw this post. I wish I could draw
The
it for
lines?
you. Yes, the lines. So there's this Instagram post about the lines of the time you share, timelines, if you will,
Yeah.
the time that you share with people in your life. And so for you and your child, it's like independent, like it's just you, and then suddenly the child line starts, and then it continues after your line ends because it's inevitable. You will not
That made
be
my
present
eyes so watery.
you won't be present for the entire life of your child. And so it's so beautiful to see that, like, as a parent, you can witness and you can identify what is the essence of your child and
Right.
know that they're going to circle back to that essence time and time again throughout their lives. Like,
I love that.
it's almost like you get to know who they are, even though you're not going to be with them, like, in that last part of their lives. Guys, I mean, what can I say? Anyway. Okay.
That's so beautiful. And it's true. It's the core, right? And the core has so much of these years form, right? Who they're going to be for the rest of their lives and the things that matter to them. And yeah, it's so beautiful. It makes me so sad to think that there will be a time where I won't be around for her.
No, but that's your job right now, to fill her with ways and different learnings that, so that when you're not around, you'll still kind of like live inside of her and, like, you know, be hopefully in a positive way. like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of guide her and all of that. Like, it's beautiful. I mean, you know me, I romanticize everything in my head, like every possible situation. I romanticize it and I'm like, do it for the plot. It doesn't matter. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Plot.
Don't
Deal
do
with
it
it
for
later.
the plot.
Let's go.
Deal with your emotions head on. Come on. But anyway, the last question I have for you is, how would Valentina describe you?
Oh, I actually had to ask her this once. She said that I'm very kind and supporting, and that I love Taylor Swift. But she also said that I'm silly and funny, and that I love dance parties with her. And that kind of immediately I choked up a little bit, because I kind of thought back to all the dance parties that we've had, like whether it's in the kitchen or in a living room, which she didn't know at the moment, but it was like really, she didn't know at the moment, but it was healing me. Oh my God, why am I crying? She didn't know.
She only cries with me.
Yeah, she didn't know in the moment, but it was, those little moments were so healing for me. Yeah. But it's just so beautiful to think that for her, they're core memories.
Yeah.
You know,
when it was probably really dark for you and you were trying to bring some light. I know that because I did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Those dance parties, you know, you turn on the music, you're trying to drown out whatever's happening. And for those 3 minutes that song's on and you're dancing with her and you're looking at her smile, you realize, like, nothing else matters, you know? Everything else is around us. Everything else will pass. But it's just special to know that, like, those dance parties were core memories for her and continue to be core memories for her. And so, like, I don't care if she's 11 or she'll be 50, we're going to have a dance party. We're going to blast whatever song and we're going to, like, go crazy.
She'll dance with you while you're in your wheelchair. She'll push you around. She will have taken you out of the old people daycare where she's going to live. That's actually where we're going to hang out. We have plans to hang out at the old people daycare.
I can't believe I just cried. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, Karen, one day we're just going to be at the old people daycare and
talking about how we did it for the plot.
And we're going to have are these stories. So let's make them count. This is all we're going to have.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dee, for being on this podcast. I can't believe this happened. I love you so much.
I love you so much.
And thank you for opening up. You know, you don't do that very often.
I don't, but for you, I would literally do anything on this world.
So here we are. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Bye. I love you.